do have to put your heart and soul into it. You do have to be confident, but also be a bit humble.
It is hard. If you want it, you do it.
Quality over everything. I will not compromise.
I think having a good network of mentors and other businesses is so invaluable.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's event, which is Empowered Women. I'm your host for the afternoon. My name is Paul Cheetham. For those of you that don't know who I am, I was the founder of Sedulo, where you are today. We're a firm of accountants and forensic accountants. And what we really do is we work with entrepreneurial businesses, entrepreneurs themselves, and we grow businesses, nurture them and deal make on the behalf. So if you don't know what we do, that's what we're here for. As a result of that, we do everything you'd expect. So corporate finance, wealth management, tax advisory work, and bank funding for growth of businesses. So that's what we do. We've got an office here, which you're in today. We have an office on Deansgate in Manchester, and we have a small satellite office in London. So that's us. Today, how it's going to work, we're very fortunate, as I said just a second ago, to work with many, many entrepreneurs, and many of them tend to and happen to be female. And we've got 4 of them here today. So the way today's going to work is I'm going to do a short introduction to our guests. After that, I'm going to do a short one-to-one Q&A, so you find out a little bit more of each of them, 5 or 10 minutes. And then after that, I'm going to create some discussion points, which we'll all have a chat about. And then we're going to open it up to the audience. So in about 45 minutes or so, we will open it up for questions. They've said they'll answer any questions. No, nothing's bad. So get your questions ready. Don't be shy. We do want you to participate. And so that's how it's going to work today. So short introductions. First of all, I'm going to start at this end. So we have Seema Malhotra from Forever Unique. We have Rachel Parfitt from R&R Agency. We have Sophie Whittam from Fight Label Inc. And we have Holly Moore from Make Events. So can we just give them all a round of applause, please? So I'm going to start with you, Seema.
Go easy.
Yeah. So first of all, you run Forever Unique with your husband, Sandeep, who's here somewhere. In fact, there he is.
Yeah.
How did you get into that? How did you get into the brand? Was you in clothing first of all, and then how did Forever Unique come about?
I studied fashion, that's what I did, and Sandeep's parents, you could call them glorified market traders.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we've always been in the fashion industry. So 25 years ago, we started with a tiny little showroom in the heart of Manchester, where we would travel, me and Sandeep, twice a week to London, in a battered old white van, not very glamorous. And yeah, we'd go to loads of factories that would manufacture for store groups, and I would buy the overmakes or the discontinued styles, bring them back and sell them to market traders, which we probably got a good couple of years out of, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But competition became more fierce. Our profit margins dropped, so it's what could we do next? So for me, the next thing was we went to Paris, heart of fashion, and we became a distributor for 2 brands that are in Selfridges now, Sandro and Marget. I don't know if you've heard of them. And for me, that was the beginning of that hunger of wanting to do fashion, because that opened a massive door to get into independent boutiques and department stores. And to be honest, that's where I think our journey started, because we were distributors for a couple of years, but again, Louis Vuitton bought the distribution rights, so that was taken away from us. And at the time, absolutely gutted, because I felt like we'd found something. It was taken away, but really it was probably, for me, the best thing that ever happened, because it was at that point that I realised that my husband, I think he's the business brains, he had the determination.
You're the looks.
I'm the looks. I have that creative eye. But together, that's our force. That's where our partnership began.
Yeah.
And I, to this day, think that's the defining factor in the growth and success of Forever Unique, because we created something. We realised at that point, doesn't matter, we've lost it. we will create Forever Unique,
Yeah.
and that was the birth of Forever Unique at that point.
And so you set Forever Unique up, and then you had the early success. Was it Lucy Meck that used to work for you on Towie, and then you kind of
Yeah.
sponsored Towie? And is that what raised the brand?
We have the London showroom, so Lucy Meck used to work for me there, and she went into reality TV, and yeah, it was just a massive sort of window for the brand. It was like brand awareness. So that was the kickstart. And from there, we started going further afield, started manufacturing. And actually, Sophie on the panel here used to work with me, and she was one of our designers, and then we used to go to the Far East.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's all glamorous. You get to see amazing countries, you get to travel, but
It's hard.
it's
It is
hard.
hard.
The hours that we used to put in, but a small collection of 10 pieces that completely sold out gave us the confidence then that, do you know what, we don't need to promote anybody, we can do it.
And what's it like when you go to Paris Fashion Week? It sounds glamorous, Milan Fashion Week. You do them all, don't you?
Yeah.
What's it like when you're there?
It's really bloody hard work, excuse my language, but it's hard work it's long days from morning. You know, we start probably at 7 and finish 9 o'clock in the evening, but it's what we love.
Yeah.
I'm not scared of the hard work, it's what I enjoy. It's what I try and instill in all my team. I think if you're passionate and you love something, you just do it.
Yeah.
It does have its fun sides as well.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So you got Forever Unique up to a level, it's fair to say, and we've got other people on the panel who are very similar, where you kind of got to a level where if you stayed at that level, you could have had quite a nice, easy life, less stress than I guess what you've got today. But you decided to go from sort of 5 or 10 employees and really gear it up with global distribution, as you just said earlier, and kind of really go for that next level. So how's it been since you did that? You know, how have you been since then?
To be honest, you're right. We could have stayed at that level, but I haven't worked this hard to stay at that level.
Yeah.
Why would I just want to stop there? So from being cash and carry, the next step was to go sort of global, and we now have 10 offices around the world, which has been amazing. And they carry our signature collection, which is mainline, glamorous, occasional wear. But again, I didn't want to stop at that level. So currently where we are now is I would put my hands up and be dead honest. I don't feel that we moved with the times quick enough. This whole digital age wasn't my age. I didn't know nothing about it, but I've had to learn. Otherwise, I might as well just stay back there.
Your son tells you plenty though, doesn't he? Neil.
Yeah, my son tells me, Mum, you're doing it all wrong. And we had to learn it. And now we're heavily investing into a digital platform, social media I've had to learn about. It's the way forward. You've got to move with the times. That's what my kids keep telling me.
Yeah. So you're growing the brand's growing nicely, and as you say, you're all over the world now, really. It's a global brand. Then you decide to add to that stress by bolting on the Housewives of Cheshire. Not Desperate Housewife, which I called you incorrectly for the first 12 months. But how did that come about? And how did it come about, first of all?
So they approached me. The producers came from London. I was at a charity event, and I didn't actually realise, sat next to me with these 2 producers that completely knew everything about me, which really freaked me out, and just basically said that they're looking for inspirational, aspirational women. Hand on my heart, I'd never watched any of the Housewives franchise, so I didn't really have a clue what it was about. And it was people like yourself that said to me, Seema, you can do it. So it's your fault.
And how's it been? How's it been since?
Honestly, as stressful as it has been the best thing ever. It's such an amazing platform. Yes, there's always drama that comes with the show, but at the end of the day, I'm not really bothered about the drama. I use it as the best platform that I can for Forever Unique. These are the women that wear my brand. They always have before I even joined the show. And I think we're in series 7, and it's the first time ITV made an advert and called me and said, do you want to do the whole styling? So I kitted all the girls in Forever Unique, so I can't think of a better platform.
They really do promote the brand, don't they?
Massively. It's been a brilliant platform. It is hard, and you know, I don't know how I do it, but I do have the amazing support of family and friends and everyone around us that just keep saying to me, you can do it. If you want it, you do it.
And the future, are you going to stay on that? Are you going to do some different programmes?
I'd like to, if I could, maybe break away at some point. At the moment, it's fine and I'm enjoying it, but I'd love to go off and maybe do something that I'm passionate about, which would be styling. Going on a programme where maybe I can just style anyone, anybody, just make every woman feel what they should.
Brilliant. OK, thank you, Seema. Rachel, your turn. Thank you. So you spin a lot of plates. Your core business
Yes.
is R&R, which is a talent agency.
Yes.
Before that, though, you'd already, I think you was 25 when you'd first built and sold a business. So tell us about that and then move it into R&R.
Okay, so I'm from a graphic design background, so I'm really into branding and design. So I started a branding agency when I was 25, and we decided to go specifically into branding. And we had another company that had been around for 15 years, and we were like, the company is where we need to be. They've got all of the great brands, and after about 3 years, we went up against them on a pitch for a really quite high-profile client, which was to do a Christmas marketing campaign for a shopping centre. And we won the pitch against them, and it was like, yes, that's great. That's what I wanted to achieve with that business. So I think at that point I felt like I'd achieved what I wanted to achieve with that business. So I sold it.
You had some great clients in that business, didn't you?
Yeah, there was Jägermeister. We did stuff for National Lottery. We even worked on the Olympics as well, and BBC. So there was some really good clients. Yeah, we just focused on quality. I think every business I've worked in, I'm really focused on quality. And it's a lot of my personal values, actually, quality and really having a nice team, working hard, and so I've followed it through with all the other businesses. So I sold that business, and I was looking for another opportunity, and I met somebody who had an amazing band in the corporate industry. They had a management company that just weren't working, and they were knocking heads constantly. They had 10 gigs booked in for that year, and he was considering going back to a day job, and I was like, let me give it a go. I know branding, I know marketing, I've got a bit of business background, and we bought out of the contract with this management company, and in that year we managed to get 72 gigs booked into the 4 years. So other bands were like, can you do the same for me? And other clients were like, do you have any other bands? And it just organically grew into an entertainment agency.
And one of the things that I think is different, one of your USPs, I think, is that you put bands together. So yes, you've got an agency where there's an existing musician or band, but you actually put bands together specifically. So how does that work?
I don't like to ever have anything that's
it's not like X Factor, where it's all the rejects, is it? Where you how do you,
no, I really don't like X Factor.
No, but how do you do that? How do you put them together?
So we've just got an amazing network of so many super talented musicians. So they'll be on tour with like The Script or Kylie even. We've got a few that's with Kylie and all sorts of these major artists, but they're in the background. They never really get their recognition. But they are so amazingly talented. So we see gaps in the market. We go, okay, we're creating an 11-piece band right now, a really high-profile one. So we've styled them all black and white. They look really cool. And we've just got all these musicians, put them together, branded them, gave them a name, did a promo video, and yeah, so that is exclusive to us. So I like to have something that's different. There are entertainment agencies out there, so we have to show how we're different. So in ways of, we do a lot of little extra touches. I train my team to be super knowledgeable about every single detail, so that it doesn't feel like you're calling up someone who has no idea what they're talking about. And we create our own acts so that we've got exclusive acts that are just with us.
So that's R&R.
Yeah.
Another plate you've got spinning is RPJ Racing.
Yeah.
So your husband is a British champion rally driver, motorsport? We got that right?
Yeah, it's one of the most competitive motorsport series in the UK. So the person that I met that was in the band originally, he is now my husband. So I facilitated his career in the music, but then he said, I want to go off and be a racing driver. And I was like, we're only doing it if it's a business, it's not a hobby because it's very expensive. So over the last sort of 4 years, we've had a plan of where he wants to get to. We've had to raise over £1 million in sponsorship just to be on the grid, basically. And yeah, he was the first person to ever be British GT4 and GT3 champion in a Bentley. So
so he's doing the driving, but you really are doing everything to get the car on the road, I guess, aren't you? And you work with some huge brands on that.
Yeah,
like
we got some really
brands.
good sponsors actually. Stubber sponsored 1 year, and going into a pitch meeting and saying, you know, can you give me 150,000 and all you get is a logo on a car is like, it's a difficult conversation to have. But yeah, every year we had to raise that sort of money to get the car on the grid. And then we do a lot of extra things. So we took a lot of things out of F1, and again, it's the quality and the extra little bits. So we organised a launch event in Berkeley Square in London where everybody came along and the car was parked in the middle of London, stopped traffic, etc. And we used to take them on guided tours in the garage so they feel part of it. So there was a lot of extras to get the value out of the sponsorship, basically.
Amongst all this, you're doing the Goldman Sachs course.
I did
Do you think you've just finished?
I did it last year, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'd highly recommend it. It was really, really good.
What is it? I've heard of it, but I actually don't know what it is myself.
It's part of Oxford University as well, and I think Leeds University, because I did a residential here in Leeds, a 3-day residential. So they do it twice a year. They pick 60 businesses, and you all go along, and it's a 3-month course where they go through every single part of your business, and at the end of it, you are presenting a growth plan for the next 3 years. So I found it hugely, that it was amazing, all the information I got, because, you know, I didn't go to university. I've never been taught business. I've just done business. So it was really nice to actually find out about how to actually do it properly.
And then you all stay in contact, I guess, and was it good for connections?
That's one of the best things about it, I think, because I've got such an amazing network. So we were all split up into groups of 5, and we still meet every couple of months, and we all know each other's businesses really well, so we can say, oh, this happened, how do I deal with this? And it's just, I think having people around you, a good network of mentors and other businesses is so invaluable, something that I've learned over the last 2 years, which is, yeah.
So it's highly recommended?
Oh, highly recommended.
Okay, that's Rachel, everybody. Sophie?
Hello.
Hello. We'll talk about those shorts in a minute. But before we talk about those, how did you use, is it figure skating?
Figure skating, yeah.
Yeah, talk to us about that and how...
Yeah, how far back do we go? I guess I was a figure skater from age 4 till I think I was 18 when I hung them up for good, and that was it. They have been on since, but I've not dabbled in the competitive world since. And at 16, I kind of got to the point where I was like, do I go down the Olympic route, or do I stop and think, okay, I need to have a real job now? So I left school at 16 and went into fashion college, and that was where it taught me everything that I knew, and that kind of took me on the path, and I kind of figured out where I wanted to be. And kind of obviously with the figure skating and the fashion, it was always like a dream. Like I would always design my skating costumes for competition, and it was like that whole girl's dream to design a pink sparkly dress, which, you know, is everything. And as soon as I learnt to sew at fashion college, that was it. I started like making dresses for like my friends that I'd skated with, and it was always kind of just on the side. I had other jobs, and one of my first jobs was working for Seema as a designer way back. And then, yeah, I kind of took the plunge and left what was my dream job with Seema to go and do the costumes full time, which was a bit of a risk because, I don't know, I didn't know how many people wanted to buy these things. It's a very niche it's a very niche sport. So yeah, I kind of went for it, and then it just took off, and we were doing costumes for like the Olympic figure skaters and then all the dancing on ice stuff. And I was 16 kind of when I started making them, as soon as I learned to sew, which before I had no interest in it. But then as soon as I'd been taught and I found it like the easiest thing in the world, I just thought, this is a no-brainer here. So after I'd kind of got to the point where I'd kitted out like European Olympic figure skaters in it, I kind of thought, well, you know, where do we go? Like ice skating's not a hugely scalable business. I kind of dabbled in a training wear line, which was more sportswear based, which it was okay, but it wasn't. I'd had a business partner. It wasn't a great experience, but a big big eye-opener. And then
You went for a night out.
One day it wasn't really a night out. It was more. So one of my
But this is a great story of how it's the right time. It's the right time, the right place.
It is completely.
But you
that.
also took advantage of that opportunity.
I did.
And you've just run with it ever since.
I never expected it. So what happened? One of my ice skating clients, her stepdad, he puts on like evening with Anthony Joshua, evening with Amir Khan, and he said, "Oh, I'm doing one really near your house. I'd just done his stepdaughter's skating dress. He's like, why don't you come along?" He says, you know, there'll be some ring girls there, which kind of was my first dabble into the boxing world. So I'd done like ring girl costumes for Matchroom Boxing, Sky Sports, all those things. So there's some ring girls there. He said, you know, come along, you can just sit and watch, there's a dinner. So I'm sat in the corner, minding my own business. And someone comes up to me and they're like, oh, can I have a word with you outside? I was like, okay. So followed him outside. He's like, oh, why are you sat on your own? Like, come and sit with us. I was like, no, I'm fine. I'm just watching. And then 20 minutes pass, someone else comes and asks me. And he's like, no, come and sit with us. Like, we don't want you just sat in the corner on your own. So I was like, all right. So I followed him across the room and ended up sat on the table. It was all Amir's family and friends table. And then after Amir had finished all his kind of questions and answers, a bit like we're sat here now, he came down and got chatting. I think he had other ideas, but he said, what do you do? And I said, oh, I'm a designer. And his brain quickly switched and he was like, oh, you should design me some shorts. And I was like, okay, you know, I've never thought, you kind of just go, yeah, and then you don't think anything of it. And then 3 days later, I got a phone call and I was like, hello. And he's like, oh, hi, it's Amir. And I was like, Amir? He's like, Amir Khan. And I was like, oh, hi. He said, I'm serious. I want you to design me like something totally different, like out of this world. So I was like, okay. I thought he is serious now. So he said, you've got my business manager's number. Like, take a couple of weeks, then come up to the gym and let's see what you've got. So I was like, okay. So off I went, designed, Googling boxing shorts, thinking, what am I doing? Got no idea. Winged it, went up with all these designs, sat down. Amir's there, his dad, his business manager, his brother, his uncle, his sister, they're all there, and there was me. And I got all these designs out on the table, and his business manager just took one look. Nobody said a word, and I was just thinking, oh no, this has gone horrendously wrong. I don't know what I'm doing. And he went, you can make these. And I was like, yeah. He said, I want you to make them all. So I went back on my domestic sewing machines that made ice skating dresses, thinking, right, okay, we'll have a go. And then that was it. Amir drip fed them in training camp in San Francisco. He like styled it with, we did like t-shirts, he matched it with boots, it all looked great. And his business manager said to me, he's like, you need to think of a name for this because it's going to grow. And I kind of just was like, no. So I kind of thought of a name, and then it came to do the actual fight shorts, and one of Amir's sponsors made, and they had the rights for 24 karat gold material. So Amir was like, this is my sponsor, they're going to send you the material. So I was like, okay. It's kind of taken the design element straight out of it. I was like, okay, I'll do what I'm told. So this fabric comes, and it's like this piece of fabric that's all, it was, I'm on the phone, I'm like, I can't use this, it's all cut up, it's no good. They're like, do you know how much that piece of fabric cost? And I was like, okay. So he's like, at trade to them, it was like well over £5,000 with it. I'm not kidding, it was this big. So I'm there shaking, like cutting it with the scissors, and then made these shorts. And they were like the world's most expensive boxing shorts like ever seen. And Amir wore them. And literally the minute he told the press about these shorts, my phone just was like ringing off the hook, interview after interview, and it kind of just blew it up. And that was kind of me born into boxing out of nowhere.
And that was about 4 years ago, I think. About
four years ago. As
And
of November, it'll be 4 years in November.
And since then, the people that I've called are like Floyd Mayweather. They're the top.
Yeah, it's gone
people,
from 0 to 100 really quick.
Yeah.
You know, kind of not knowing anything. I mean, when I first started it, somebody said to me that, oh, you won't be making ice skating dresses in a year. And I was deeply offended. I was like, I've started this since you know. And literally within 6 months, that was it. I wasn't doing any. It was boxing from morning till night every day.
And you do almost all the world champions, the major ones, don't you?
Yeah, we make for like Floyd Mayweather, Anthony Joshua, Amir Khan, Carl Frampton, Mikey Garcia, you name it. Like every. We make for probably the top 1% of the world's.
And movies now. And Bruno Mars, you made some shots. I've seen them.
Yeah, doing something else with Bruno at the moment, which is quite exciting. But yeah, there's kind of...
Movies?
Creed first Creed, the like Rocky film with Michael B. Jordan, we did the movie wardrobe for the fight scenes for that, and then Creed 2's out in November, and we've done all the fight wardrobe for that, and I've been out there with the filming with Michael B. Jordan and
you're in
Sylvester, and I'm in the film briefly. Not intentional. As a cocktail waitress. I've never done waitressing in my life, and then I'm there thinking, oh my God, what am I doing?
Brilliant. And then just finally, so I think you've got plans for an athleisure.
Yeah, kind of the next steps with Fight Label, I guess, because we make everything we do in-house. I have a team of five girls. One's my mum, who's amazing. And the sewing, like the quality, everything we do is in like leather, python skin, like crazy fabrics. So the one-off pieces. So when the fighter comes, you know, we'll sit down with them, measure them, do a design, and then we'll make this one-off item for the fight. But then with Fight Label, it's so scalable because there's so many fans in boxing. Like I can sell anything to them, you know, and to have the Fight Label kind of ready-to-wear line, which will be tracksuits, t-shirts, more like a luxury, high-end kind of gym line, I guess you could describe it as. So that's kind of the next steps. It's the things that the fighters wear out of the ring, which is kind of where I want to go into. Not your general like JD Sports kind of level stuff. It's more like your Selfridges, Harrods level sportswear.
Will that just be for men or women?
Men and women. Because I don't have anything for me.
Yeah, I think women love that loungewear. It's huge.
Oh, they do, and I think, like you'll know, in fashion, some of it's done so terribly, and like I think there's a real gap for like nice. I mean, fast fashion is just killing.
It's killing it.
The market, like it's. I think there's, like you said as well, quality over everything. Like I will not compromise. You know, there's other people that make boxing shorts, but when you've set yourself with this elite level of client and you're kind of like the Louis Vuitton of the boxing short world, you know, it resonates with them. And if I then bring out a product which is a JD Sports level stuff, it doesn't fit in. So it's kind of gearing your business to keep it going on the right track. Like people say, oh, you could sell hundreds and hundreds of pairs of shorts to like amateur fighters. And I'm like, well, I don't want to diffuse from what I know.
Yeah, sure.
No. So that's kind of where we're going.
So that's Sophie, everybody. Holly, you was last.
I am a bit blown away by all of that. Very interesting.
Well, tell us about you. So you have Make Events.
Yep.
Northwest-based agency.
Yeah.
We'll talk about the client base in a bit.
Yeah.
But again, how did you start that? You was at AstraZeneca in the events team.
Yeah.
And one day decided you're just going to do your own thing. How did it happen?
Yeah, so I worked at AstraZeneca, which is a big pharmaceutical company, and sort of way before Google had slides, etc., in their office, AstraZeneca had understood the value of events for engagement, so a cross-employee engagement programme. So I was there 4 years. I'd been in my previous job, which was hospitality, for 9 years, and during that time had started with, recovered from quite serious mental illness. So when I got well, when I was still at AstraZeneca, it was suddenly like, oh my God, the blinkers are off, and this is what life is like. And hadn't probably realised that had tinkered away ever since I was little. So as soon as I was well, it was kind of like I was bypassed for promotion at AstraZeneca, and I just decided something that I would have normally just nodded my head and cracked on with. I decided I wouldn't, because I'd gone through so much and I just thought I can do this. So I left my job of 4 years with nothing to go to. Which sounds like madness, but I wasn't on a particularly great salary, so I didn't have those kind of golden handcuffs, I guess, around me. And I freelanced for a year in Manchester doing events and marketing, and I saw what I felt was a real gap in the market. And I kind of thought, I'm going to have to get a proper job now because I need to earn some money. So do I go and work for someone else, which is notoriously long hours, or do I set up and just have a go? And I thought, I'll make events, and that's how it all started.
And then your first client was Late Rooms.
Yeah, so Late Rooms, McCann and Betfred in like the first 3 weeks. So. And
how did that happen?
So Late Rooms and McCann were people that I already knew and kind of had seen my work and thought they'd give me a go. So that was amazing. And Betfred was, so I don't know how well known he is in Leeds, but Fred Doan, that owns Betfred, is at the time I think was the top, like richest guy in the Northwest, basically. And the Lowry Hotel recommended me, because I knew the girls in the office, to him, and turned up at his house. Thought I knew it was for his 70th birthday. Thought it was a retirement village because it was that big. And he said to me, why should I give you a go? You've got no track record on your own. And I was like, well, just let me do the proposal. Business is business. And if you like it, you know, we'll go from there. I'm proud to say that all those 3 people are still clients 6.5 years later. So, yeah.
Very good. So, and it's grown rapidly, your business, hasn't it?
Yeah.
And similar to for the Forever Unique story, you got to a stage where you could quite easily have I wouldn't say a stress-free life in events, but you could have a relatively nice life with, you know, with just less stress. But you've decided again to reinvest and go for much further growth. So how's that been? Why did you make that decision for a start? And then what have the challenges been?
I think we got to a point about 2 years ago where we were doing a mix of corporate parties and private parties, but the brand was confused and people didn't quite. We were doing like events in Dubai for Kellogg's, but our brand reflected parties and things like that. So we went out, any people with their own small business, we decided to rebrand, which we were going to do in-house. And then I heard a talk, and it was this guy talking about branding. It was your customer's truth is your truth. So it doesn't really matter what you perceive your customers thinking. What they are thinking is what they think of your brand. And it just prompted me to go out to market, and we rebranded with an agency. And we decided to take the private party side out of it, which was a massive risk because it represented about 40% of the business at that time. I still do private parties 6 a year that I can fit in, but Make Events became a fully corporate agency with brand values, with a strategy which the team absolutely live and breathe every day. And as soon as we launched the new brand, I mean, last year we had 131% growth. And when you're getting clients calling you and the opportunities are there, I don't know how you could stop. I wouldn't be able, like Seema said, I wouldn't be able to stop because, you know, how lucky are we that we're getting to work with these emerging and these big brands. And I think that's when we just thought, let's go for it and, make this into a proper business.
And there's now almost, I think you had 5 a year ago, now there's almost 20.
Yeah, blame you for that because you told me I needed to get
getting a lot of blame around
Your fault, actually.
If it goes right, whose fault will it be? Probably not mine.
Yeah, and I think with the events model, a lot of people stay small because they'll keep a core of contracted staff and then have freelancers.
Yeah.
But for me, for everyone to live and breathe that brand, they needed to be working for me, fully invested.
And your favourite event that you've done? Was that the Dubai one?
Yeah, so I'd say the first international event we did for Kellogg's, we had to find an unusual venue. We found a private island in Dubai, and I think we were about 3.5 years old then, and just to stand and see this sea of Make Events t-shirts looking over the palm in Dubai was a bit of a pinch me moment. It was amazing.
Favourite artist you've worked with? I know you two ladies do a lot of work together.
We do.
Highly recommend. Holly's event last night.
Yes, Rachel's husband I saw at 1 this morning leaving a stage.
You're looking fresh. You're looking fresh.
Favourite act, Kylie Minogue. So, I just really quickly, I have been obsessed with Kylie Minogue since I was about 10 years old, and I've got scrapbooks and wrote in one of my goal-setting books, I will meet Kylie Minogue. And then a client, we pitched her for an event, and she did the event for us. So that was again struck that off my goals list, and
Very good.
And she signed my scrapbook.
Goals hit, goals achieved. So, and the future plans for you for Make Events, what do they look like?
So this year's been a massive infrastructure year with sort of doubling the recruitment and the growth, setting it up really so that Manchester is like a head office almost. We've just recruited someone from Leeds. So the idea is once by the end of this year, kind of the infrastructure's right, that we'll have satellite sort of teams in Leeds, Birmingham, London, because we are doing it, like we were in Harrogate last night, we are doing events across the country. We just need a base in each area.
Great. This is Holly. So I've got a few questions which I'm going to go through and create some discussion going back down, and as I say, in the next 15 minutes or so then we're going to open it up to the audience, so get your questions ready. Now this is the event is Empowered Women, and I was reading just the other day actually that going back to 2010 in the FTSE 350 there was only 12% of women on the board of businesses, and by 2018 That's grown to, I think, 28%. So, you know, by no means is it a 50-50 this, but there's been some great progression. I think out of the 350 companies, there's 12 now that exist that have an all-male board. So 98% of them now include female board members. I'm well aware of kind of what the diversity and how a female board member, the benefits of having one should be. And in fact, we're recruiting for an MD for Sedulo at the moment. And the remit to our HR team is I think that a female MD would be a better option to us than a male one. So in light of that, I'm just going to start with you back over at you, Seema. Being a female board owner, have you ever come across, was it a natural leadership? Have you ever come across any kind of male-female, I don't know, discrimination? And then finally, what are the benefits, do you think, having that mix and blend brings to a board?
Personally, I've never felt any sort of intimidation, maybe the nature of our business, because obviously we have a lot of female employers, a lot of our management are female, because that is the nature of my business. You know, I just feel having a female employer, especially in the fashion industry, in so many different aspects of our business, be it in the design aspect, I just feel a woman understands a woman's body. In our customer care service, for us it's been really beneficial, because I just feel that female employer has that kind of mindset, they can relate to a woman, and just having their perspective, you know, on the sort of fashion industry, for me, it's been a great help.
Yeah.
I think we've needed it.
Yeah.
And I've never, if I've ever felt anything in our business, I've never really felt any sort of intimidation or for being a woman. Maybe because the likes of people that I've come across are like yourself, that believe in women, and just even Sandeep, who's only ever given me confidence to say, it doesn't matter if you get it wrong, just have a shot, do it. And I just think times have changed.
Yeah.
Women and male now, I just think female and male peers, I think we're all on that same level, and hopefully it'll just keep moving that way.
Yeah. How's it been for you, Rachel? Because does it really work for you in the RPJ pouch? You know, the two of you share that real kind of male-dominated industry. Does it really work for you? And I'll ask you the same question, but does it really work for you to? I mean, have you not noticed it?
No, I have noticed it. It's not intimidation. It's more often get underestimated, I think. But I see that as a benefit, because I can just sneak in and they don't see me on their radar usually, and I'm just like, da-da. So yeah. But yeah, it is music industry is quite male dominated and also the racing. Even though the championship, the first ever female won the championship this year, so it's good. Go women. In the Goldman Sachs course, out of the 30, there was only 7 women business owners as well, which was quite sad. But I think it is changing, like you say, and I think a good trait in women actually is empathy, which is kind of what you're saying. So I think
And do you echo that, Sophie? Is it similar for you, or?
Completely. I mean, as a woman in boxing, like, there are no women in, especially in the boxing business. I mean, there's female fighters, but in the business side, you're kind of on your own. Like, everybody's a guy. Like, even the fans, you know, we're probably talking like 95% is male. But the thing is, like, when I came along, obviously it was the novelty thing. Oh, there's a new blonde in boxing. That was a kind of that kick-started it, and it kind of worked in my favour as a bit of an asset to cause interest. And
there's women presenters now, isn't there? Forgotten the name, but is it Michelle?
Michelle Phelps, she's a good friend of mine, And it's kind of, as a woman in boxing, it's like all eyes on you, because there's so few of you. So then naturally, you kind of gain all this attention, which you can just divert to your business. And then, especially with Fight Label, like, when I do such a good job with their shorts, and, you know, people see it and they're actually talking about it, which before I came along, like, nobody spoke about shorts, like maybe like Prince Nassim days, leopard print, you know, that kind of stuff. But now it's just forgettable. So until I've come along and then started doing all these like 24 karat gold shorts, all the stuff we did with Floyd and like big sponsors, you kind of, you know, you're having to deal with very male-dominated industries. And I think as a woman, it kind of helps to kind of stand out, I think, because they don't expect you, and then here you are.
Yeah.
And I think it helps, to be honest.
What about you, Holly?
I'm in a really female-dominated industry anyway. I mean, like about 90% of our clients are female, and our workforce is about 90%.
You're going the other way.
Yeah, yeah. But I haven't experienced anything. The only thing that I would say is, and I work a lot with Insider magazine, and they really struggle to get women involved. I was at a dinner on Monday, and I would say it would be 80% men. But then on the flip side of that, I think, and I don't have children, but I think, you know, I really admire any females that are working part-time, full-time, or are full-time mums. And I think, you know, at some point there is a decision, do I be completely productive in my working day and then go home and put my children to bed, or do I be productive in my working day and go to a dinner? And I think fully respect to those women that make the decision to go home, because they can still run the business. Perhaps they do have to give up the board positions, perhaps, but it still is valid to have your business and be a full-time, you know, to be a mum as well. So I do think there's a discussion around that.
How did you find that? I mean, Aaron and Neil are 20-ish now, aren't they? So
Yeah.
they're not kids anymore, but...
They're not kids anymore.
No. How did you find it, though, when they were?
It was really hard. The whole guilt of not being around, because used to go to the Far East for like 2 weeks at a time.
You are away a lot, aren't you?
A lot. You miss birthdays. You know, Neil, he was always in drama, lead role. I'd missed everything. And just one, upsetting the kids, and just having to face the other parents at the school gates as if to say, oh, here she comes, the woman that never, you know, she's never there for the kids. But I honestly believe my kids understand how hard we've worked. And when they got to the age where we could take them, their summer holidays, unfortunately, would be a trip to China. They would come and see mum and dad work in the factories.
Yeah.
And they understand that. And I was explaining to you girls earlier, you know, we came back from the trip and I could hear them both in the bedroom, and Neil's going, actually, you used to think mum and dad are just going on a holiday, but they work really hard. So I hopefully believe we've install something really good in our kids, that good work ethic, because that's all we've ever done.
Yeah.
You do it for your kids, and there's no right or wrong way.
No, they wouldn't have it any other way now, would they?
No, not at all.
Yeah. Okay. This side, you're all effectively like lone raiders. You're all running your business yourselves. You obviously run yours with Sandeep. We'll come on to that in a second. What are the positives? And I'll go this way round now. So, Holly, what are the positives, negatives, I guess, about running a business on your own?
Well, I think, I didn't want a business partner, so it's the sounding board. And as you know, we're working with, I'm not doing this as a sales pitch, but we are working with Paul really closely, because I think we've grown to the point now where I'm getting asked by my team, we need to invest in this, we need to invest in that, and it's a little bit too much for me. Yeah, we do. Poor Alex
There's
is over
me and
there.
Alex. Where are you, Alex?
And so I think I just needed a sense check of someone that was close to the figures, to make sensible decisions. And I think that it's at that point now where I cannot make those decisions on my own. I need a sounding board. So.
Yeah. And what about you? You're away a lot as well on your own,
I'm away
I guess.
a lot, yeah, I guess. It sounds really glamorous, like when you're in Vegas and New York and all these places every month, and, you know, it's great, but it's hard. And, like, I've sacrificed, like, I don't have a personal life. Like, I literally live, sleep, eat and breathe Fight Label.
Yeah.
Like, there is nothing else.
Yeah.
I'd had a business partner, like, years ago, and it was an awful experience. And I actually, when I started Fight Label, I had someone involved, but I then kind of said, you know, I'm doing all the work, and it's kind of a heartbreaking, you know, thing, like, am I going to just shut it down because I'm doing everything, and then just start, rebrand it, do it all again? And I was very fortunate, they went, yeah, hands up, you are doing everything, and then just let me kind of carry on. So, you know, the minute you kind of become 100% of something, I've given 100% of myself to it. And it is hard, and I think unless you're prepared to kind of sacrifice the most, you're not going to get the most out of something, because it is all consuming all of the time.
Yeah. Rachel, do you have a sounding board, or do you use Goldman Sachs for that? You mentioned a bit earlier.
Yeah, no, I do now. I've realised the importance of it, because it can be such a lonely thing. Like, big decisions are on your shoulders and you don't have anyone to talk to. And Rick is the director of the company, but is not involved in the business side. So if I said, should we do this? He he's in the creative side of it. So yeah, I do now. I've got the Goldman Sachs people. I've got business mentors. Ask you guys. I think it's really important because it can be really lonely and it can, really get you down if you don't have like a network of people. So, yeah.
Seema, what are the cons, and are there any pros?
No, listen, it's amazing actually what we've had and what we still have. God, that sounds really bad. We work really well, and I think the reason we work well, we work in two separate areas. He's the numbers guy, strategy, growth. I'm the creative person. But I've not found it difficult, honestly. I don't know how it's worked. Everyone asks me, you're married to the guy, you work with him, how the hell do you cope with it? It's actually easier being at work with Sandeep than being at home. Swear to God, if we were left in the house on our own for a week, we'd probably kill each other.
You got a dog just to keep him busy.
Yeah, that's what we've done. We've got Milo, Sandeep, Milo and me. But at work, it does work. And the only downside I'd probably say of a sort of a partnership, working relationship is we never switch off.
Yeah.
So, a date night for us, we'll be talking about the orders that have come through, certain styles that haven't worked, the best sellers. We never switch off, but we're going to start to switch off from today.
From today.
And then, from a work-life balance perspective, how do you manage that? What things do you do to manage that?
Do you know what? At the moment,
such a struggle.
I don't know how we even get through every week. The years seem to be going quicker. We were talking about this, we've just been away, and I actually said to Sandeep, we need to get some sort of balance in our life, because at the moment, we're running 100 miles per hour. There's not enough hours in the day. So we know that's something that we need to create just for our own sort of sanity and for, having that quality of life. Because at the moment, it's hard because not only have we created, obviously, Forever Unique, but doing the show it's long hours. It probably looks all glamorous and a whole lot of fun, but it's hard work.
Yeah. Rachel, work-life balance?
Similar to you, actually. Not great, but better than it used to be when I was 25, actually. I never, ever stopped then. And I feel like I missed quite some good years, actually, of just solid working. So, I need to improve on that. I don't work as often, try and have evenings off. And because it's a similar date nights, it's just talking about work as well.
All we ever do.
So, I need to improve on that.
For you two, exercise. You both seem to be demons in the gym, you two.
I'm obsessed.
I know.
Just
How
won
important
tribe
is
games.
I know. You've just what?
I've just won tribe games.
Oh, well, yeah. What was that then?
Like a day of just hell, just a day of HIIT workout.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not winning this.
Yeah.
You'll be in that boxing ring next year.
They all get me, just do a bit. And you kind of think, at first I was like, no. Then after a bit, you think, I will. So they kind of do teach you. But when you're taught by Anthony Joshua how to throw a punch, you can't really say no.
I've had a hug from him and he nearly killed me. I want a punch.
Yeah, so kind of gym is my release. I get up at 6 every day, go straight to Tribe Gym, work out, do this insane workout, and it's the one place that I switch off because it's that high intensity that I can't physically think about work. So people ask me, what do you do to relax? I go to the gym, and they look at me like, are you insane? And then they see the level of workout, and it's so hard. They're like, but I said it physically switches me off because I get home, say I leave work at, 7, half 7-ish, but then we ship 70% of the stuff. Most of my clients are American, so when I get home, they're all awake. So my day, I always say I do at least 2 shifts a day. So I'll do the fight label in the design studio and workshop in the day, and then get back and actually start all emails, all this, phone calls, Skype. It never stops. And I'll go to bed at 12:01 and then get up at 6 again. So
Yeah.
And that's hard. You
It
can't
is
even
hard.
switch off.
no,
Like,
I don't have
when
time for friends
Yeah.
or anything. It's
You need to download Headspace.
Yeah. Yes.
I know.
Have you?
I need to do that.
And what's yours?
Similar to you, so I'll get up do 6 o'clock most mornings, run at the weekends, things like that. But it's just my, like I've not trained today because I had an event till like 1 last night, then had to do a pitch overnight that's got to go at lunchtime. So I've not trained this morning, which is really rare for me because I feel much more on my A game. I feel like if I've just moved my body.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my switch up. And actually, I think now we're sort of in the last year, Monday to Friday, evenings, daytimes, whatever, is all completely work. But I do try and carve out some time at the weekend for friends and family now as well. Because then I go back on a Monday a lot more refreshed.
So you all share a commonality in that you're involved in stuff that you all love, and you can see that from your answers to the questions. I think one of the frustrations with when you're at school is, I remember when I was getting my GCSEs, and they were going to be pretty good. So they said, oh, you need to get a job, and there's a job going down the road as a mechanic. Because kind of that was how the school pushes you, but you've all found something you love in an area that you love, and I guess you're all pushing in that area, right? So what would because there's this room, and then it's also being filmed right now, so it's going to be on the YouTube, the Sedulo YouTube channel, and it's going to be on a podcast channel. But so for maybe the younger people that might listen in or watch this after, what would be your advice on them lines? And again, we'll start at this end, but what would be your advice to people about following what they do or following what they love? Sorry.
Well, when I was younger, I really wanted to do fashion, but I had quite a traditional father who was like, why you want to be doing fashion? Be doctor, be accountant. But I didn't want to do any of those things. And I was like, Dad, but that's what I want to do. And it was only actually till I met Sandeep that he was like, she needs to be doing what she's passionate about.
Yeah.
And I got a scholarship to go to St Martin's, but my dad was adamant I wasn't going. So I didn't go, but I was just lucky that I met Sandeep at that time. And I never gave up. Like, it was all I wanted to do. So I think if it's something that you are so passionate about and you have that dream, you can do it. Work hard, but think smart. And just to have that courage, don't give up. Honestly, because I at one point was like, right, well, if I can't do fashion, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
Because that's what I want to do. And I didn't give up, and I just believed in myself, and luckily met someone who believed in me and gave me that chance. Yeah. It can happen.
Yeah. Rachel, you always think you was going to be in entertainment?
No, not at all. I didn't ever think I'd be in the music industry. I always knew that I wanted to own my own business. I didn't want to work for anybody. But I didn't really know what in or what to do. So my path, I went to uni, that didn't really work for me. I ended up accidentally being a holiday rep in Benidorm, which is a crazy situation. I've had lots of I think my advice is to definitely work hard and follow your passion, but also when you're young, don't stress too much if you don't know exactly what you want to do, because it wasn't till, I was 23, 20 to 25 that I know what I want to do. And I think it's kind of good sometimes also to being a holiday rep in Benidorm definitely taught me a lot. It was apparently it's the hardest resort because people pay hardly anything and expect the world. So yeah, I learnt a lot from that, and I'm glad I did it. So yeah, don't stress too much about achieving things straight away.
And I guess when you was 5 years old, you always dreamed of being in boxing, making shorts.
Yes. Do you know my dream job? I guess I had my dream job, which was working for Seema, designing prom dresses was everything. But it is difficult. I think when you're 14 and you're at school and what do you want to do? And for me, I was like Seema, just passionate about fashion, and they don't really teach fashion at school. There's art and textiles and stuff. There's not really that. You kind of have to find your own way with that. And I left school at 16 to go to fashion college, but when I was at school, although I wasn't there all the time because I was training figure skating, but I was straight A-star A GCSE, and they were like, oh, you should stay on and go to university and be super academic, but I just wasn't interested. And I think it's the interest, if you can, it's a blessing to make a living out of something you love, but if you can just follow your interest and you know, I dissected. I knew where I wanted to be and then kind of backtracked. I knew the dream was, you know, whether it was making figure skating costumes or making a living out of something you've produced, then figuring out how to get there. So I figured the quickest way was leave school, do this particular course, and then I just gained work experience. Like I left school at 16 and had a little fashion boutique, and I was going to the wholesalers in Manchester. I used to come buying at like 16.
It's pure coincidence,
yeah,
this, by the way, isn't it?
This wasn't planned. So yeah, I think if you can just channel everything that you love into something, I mean, I'm a believer that if you do that, something will come of it. Like a kind of living proof of that, I guess.
And you love events.
Yes, I love it. Going to them, organising them. I think what I would say, a little bit like Rachel, is that, you know, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do something to make a difference. I loved customer service. I just love looking after people. I wanted to have a coffee shop like Daphne in Neighbours. So I didn't start my business until I was 35. Genuinely.
I really like Daphne.
Wasn't she? I loved her. I, you know, 6.5 years ago, I was earning, 20 grand a year. I've now got a multi-million, business with 16 staff, and, to what? If statistics are to be believed that 25% of people in the room have suffered with mental health, don't think that you can't achieve, because I started my business at 35, and, I'm a massive believer in goal setting and writing things down and planning and visualising them, and you can achieve at whatever age you want to. It's not too late if you still don't know at the moment what you want to do. Brilliant.
Right, last question for me, then I'm going to open it up. One more question then, and that is, just quickly, we'll go this way round. There might be some people sat here right now that are thinking, I can do this better than where I'm working. There's better ways of doing it. I'm banging my head against the brick wall, speaking to the management and the boss. Should I go alone and do it? What's the advice? And we'll start this way with you. Weigh up the risk, and if you can handle the worst that can happen, do it.
Yeah, I think you have to go with, if you know in your gut that that's what's right, then you have to just push for it. I think just don't hold back.
To be honest, I think they've said it. It's, exactly, weigh up the risks. I think is quite important, though. I don't think everybody should just go leave their jobs tomorrow. But if you really want to do it and you know you can do it, then go for it. Absolutely.
Yeah. We definitely have taken so many risks, but calculated risks. So I think that's the way forward. Yeah. But you've got to take them risks, because you're never going to know if you don't do it.
There's no regrets, is there? There's no regrets.
No. I hate actually saying regrets, or oh, I failed at this. So what if you failed? It's them failures that I think have made us believe that, even now to this day, I'm working 10 times harder. Yeah. Because I've still yet to succeed. Yeah. I still don't feel I've done it.
Yeah. I think that is the attitude of an entrepreneur as well. It is no regrets, isn't it? Yeah. Every day is a learning day. Everything that happens to you is an opportunity, and I think that's the mindset. Very often. Okay,
Alicia is over there. She's got the mic, so if you put your hands up with any questions, and then she will find you and ask away. So put your hands up with questions, please.
Hi, I'm Karen Hans. My business is called Say It Karen, and I'm all about speaking out in public. But I'm really interested because there's always been this mindset among women that we do it for ourselves, but how much are we pulling up the ladder the next generation? What are you each doing to help other women to succeed?
Well, I think talking at something like this, look at the audience, it's predominantly female, and I think mentoring back the younger team and people that ask for help and say, can I have a conversation with you about something I'll try and do.
I'll just add to that. It was funny when we put I can't remember who it was, I said, well, you put an event out on Leeds Business Week, and I was thinking what to do, and then we came up with this. And I'm not going to say who it was, but we spoke to some people and they said, oh, you'll have a real problem getting people at that event. And it was the quickest tickets we ever sold. We could have sold this event again and again and again. We had to put a stop on it. And so it was interesting that people from this area was like, you were going to really struggle to fill that event. And 100% out of all the events we've done in Leeds and Manchester, this was the quickest to kind of get take up and sell out. Anybody else got anything to add? Or?
I've got an all-female team as well. It wasn't intended to be that way. It's just everybody when it came to the interview process, you know, they got to the top. So,
Yeah.
and they're quite a young team, and we've got one of our values is succeed together. So it's more of a team, all of us, you know, constantly being developed as well and mentored. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think working in fashion is like it's a female-dominated
It
thing,
is.
especially like on our side with the couture sewing. Like it's a dying art. Like not many people sew anymore. Like I really struggle to find staff. Like it's impossible.
And your
I have
work
to-
is so intricate
It's
as
very
well,
intricate,
right?
and you know, to take people on and train them up, like have to really want it, because once you've invested all that time into somebody, you know, you want them to stay, and you don't want them to then go off and then start their own business.
Like you did.
Yeah, it's fine, though. I'm all for us women.
Teamwork.
Who's next?
Hi, it's Eleanor from Translation Laboratory. So I think there's this perception that if a woman is passionate and driven and maybe quite outspoken, that she can be perceived as maybe slightly cold or basically a bitch. And it's how do you find that have you ever dealt with situations like that, perhaps when you're kind of really kind of demanding a lot from the people who work with you, and how have you kind of counteracted it and tried to indicate that, you know, you're just as powerful as a man and driven in that way?
I've never actually, well, I'd hope to think anyone would think that I've ever come across like that. I actually say that to all my team, female or male. I want everyone to be passionate. I think it's a good thing to bring to the table. I've never felt that way, or I'd hate to think anyone else would think that. I actually think it's a good thing. I don't know.
I think you can. When I started my business, there was a bit of a perception of that in the market, in the events sort of party planning market, that to get on, everyone was a ball breaker, or what she's a bitch, blah blah blah. And I kind of wanted to prove that, like, one of our values, and I speak to Rachel, is work hard, be nice. Why can't you be nice and be good at work or business?
I sometimes think I'm too nice. Like, you know, when I think, I need to be more firm, because like we'll get people want like new outfits or whatever in the request. You just go yes, 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 and then you're drowning in all this work. And it's hard to, when it's your own business, to cut off and be like, no, I'm stopping it here. You do kind of, well, I'm guilty of just being overly generous and too nice. I'm trying to be not a bitch, but just have a little bit more kind of power in that sense.
So in our business, I'm probably the bitch. He's really nice. No, because he's very understanding, whereas I just want it, and I'm like, let's just do it and do it now. So yeah, I'm probably the boss bitch.
To be politically correct, it's good cop, bad cop.
You need that. That's what I was going to say.
And what about yourself, Rachel? Have you got a similar?
I think probably I am told that I'm too nice sometimes, but I think developing a leadership style, you don't have to be an angry bitch sort of person to get places. You can just be nice, like you say, and motivate people to do things rather than be like standing over them saying you have to do this. So, but in terms of, I don't know whether you were comparing it to how like men see, you do come across women who are trying, and it is quite sad that they do see women that are being like that as, you know, trying. Yeah, exactly. But I don't believe you have to be like that. So I think, be nice. And it's everybody's different leadership styles, basically, isn't it, really?
You see it on things like The Apprentice, don't you? And it's like a desperate kind of way to control a situation. And I don't think it's natural. Like, nobody wants to be like that. And I think I'm always just myself. And I think my team relate to me like that because, I'm nice to them. You get the best out of them. And I think it promotes a good vibe in like your working environment. If somebody's stomping around, you're not going to be wanting to work with them.
Hi, I'm Georgia. I'm from Yorkshire Bank, but I suppose this question is specifically me as a working parent, a working mother. this event's called Empowering Women, and I just wondered what each of you in your own businesses, or if you haven't yet faced the issue, you know, when it comes about, what would you do to empower returning mothers to work? Because certainly when I came back from maternity leave, I had very little support from the company I worked with at the time, and it took me a couple of years to actually get back to my A game, as it were, and over 40% of mothers who return to work end up leaving the profession they've worked in because of that lack of empowerment. So I wondered what advice you have for that.
Sorry.
Good question.
No, go on.
No.
She was so nice.
I think I'm the nice boss. Go on.
I've got someone who's got a 3-year-old, so she is not returning to work because when she was with us, she'd already got a 3-year-old, and I think it's just. I think being a mother is the hardest job, much harder than the job that I'm doing. I think it's so hard. So, it's understanding that is another job. And, you know, she'll often say that her boy's sick and, you know, it's just being understanding that there is, you know, a bigger priority there. But also I feel like not necessarily treating them as a mother in the office. Like Maria, who works for me, has got so many skills, and you know, I don't want the whole being a mother to define her, and she's just amazing at the job she does. So, yeah.
I was just going to say the same, really. It's all about understanding, and being a mother myself, I know how hard and difficult it is. And we've had several members of staff that have gone away, had a baby, and they're all back on board. It's just being there and showing that support to them, really.
Yeah, I have she's like my main seamstress, Sarah. She's worked for me for 5-6 years now. She came voluntary and then went, she was heavily pregnant. She went, I just need to do something. She loves sewing, so she just came. I was doing the ice skating dresses then she went off, had the baby, came back and went, right, we make boxing shorts now. She was like, okay. And so she's kind of adapted, and, you know, she'll have problems with her. She's got 2 kids now. And like if one of them's sick, or, you know, yesterday she said to me, oh, Georgia's got a puppet show at school, but I can't go. And I said, well, just ask me. Like, you know, you can't miss out on those things. Like, I sacrifice so much of my own personal life, and I'm not even a mother, and I'd hate for my staff to miss out on their children growing up. Like, it would just not be fair.
Yeah, we've had one person return to work who's been with us right since the beginning, so we've just shaped her role as her personal life has changed with the baby, and then we try and really push to the team as well the freelance model for when they do have children. We make them realise that is an option for them, that they could drop into that model.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Hi, I'm Becky Wood from B Events. I've just set up my own management business. So for you, Holly, if that's okay.
I googled you last night. I was going to say. When I saw you on the guest list.
So I just wondered, I've just left a job of 12 years, so it's quite scary to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of 2 months in.
Yeah.
So what advice, going back to your Betfred pitch, I've just got the opportunity to pitch for a really big proposition already. So it's, what advice would you give for someone doing their first big high-level pitch?
Do you know what? I remember when I got that one and I hadn't twigged who he was, and I got home and I was like, oh, Betfred, it's actual Betfred, that's who it is. And the budget was bigger than anything I'd ever worked with before. At the time, my husband said to me, but you've done events, it's just a bigger budget, you can do it. And I think you do have to put your heart and soul into it. You do have to be confident, but also be a bit humble and I don't know if they know how long you've been going. Right, but you know, I don't think there's actually anything sometimes wrong with actually explaining and how much it would mean to you to get it, because it could mean so much more to you than a bigger agency it would be like a small thing in the pile where it would be there for you. And I think one thing that I did right in the beginning was spoke to all our suppliers, one of what's sat over there doing all the sound, and said, look, I haven't got a track record on my own, but if you can give me pictures of your events that I can use, I absolutely promise you'll get all the work. And we're 6.5 years down the line now, I'll never forget that. So you could pull on some of your support network for that, and if you want to drop me an email, me to have a look at it for you, I'd be more than happy.
Thank you.
Okay, that's the end of the event then. I don't know, I hope you've enjoyed the event. I don't know what you think about it, but I think the guests we've had today have been amazing. To get all these people in one room at a time, I think some of them were nervous beforehand, but I think they've all been amazing. So thank you for coming. And thank you for turning up. Hope you've had a good event. Keep in contact with us because there's plenty more of these events coming up through Sedulo in Manchester. The event will actually be shown on YouTube on our Sedulo channel, and there's a podcast coming out, Taking Care of Business, in about 2 weeks, so you'll have it all on there. You're welcome to have more drinks, stay around. I'm sure everybody will be mingling for a while if you want to ask them any questions. And other than that, thank you for coming and have a great weekend. Thank you.